Hi everyone. Hope you are reading the textbook thoroughly. Okay. So last class we have seen the reaction of metals with air, then water, then acid, and today we will see the reaction of metals with solution of other metals. Okay. So till now we are having an idea of how different metals react with different reactivity. Okay. Now today we will have this reaction of metals with the solution of other metal salts. Actually you have studied this in the first chapter. Okay. That is recalling that this is nothing but the displacement reaction which you studied. Displacement reaction which you studied in the first chapter. That means, for example, if I have a metal A, okay, generally I will write metal A plus a salt solution of another metal. So I can write a solution of metal B. Correct. So a metal A react with a solution of a metal B or a salt solution of a metal, another metal, will give you metal B plus solution of metal A. See, this is the generic equation for this reaction. Now see this reaction carefully, what this implies. If I write an example for this reaction, you will get it quickly. That means iron plus copper sulfate, that is solution, aqueous. Iron is a metal, solid, will give you iron sulfate plus copper. See? You remember you have studied this equation in displacement reaction, isn't it? Now there, how you define the displacement reaction? You remember? We define the displacement reaction as it is a reaction in which a high reactive metal displaces a low reactive metal, isn't it? So the definition itself is stating the reactivity of that metal. Correct? That means if a metal is reactive, more reactive, listen, in this case what happens? Iron plus copper sulfate. So the salt solution of this copper sulfate solution, from this, the copper sulfate is being displaced by whom? Iron. Or the iron is more reactive than copper. That is why this will displace us, or this has got enough power to displace this copper from this copper sulfate solution and form this iron sulfate solution. Isn't it? And the same way, we have another equation like copper plus iron sulfate. What is the reaction? Is this reaction takes place? No. Why? Why? Because you know copper is being less reactive than iron. So it is not capable of what? Displacing the iron from iron sulfate. So in general we can say a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal. So that is displacement reaction, and that is nothing but the reaction of metal with the solution of other metal salts. Generally we can say metal A plus solution of metal B will give you metal B plus solution of metal A. So these are the reactions which we want to study in order to have the reactivity of different metals. Okay. Now in this reaction it clearly indicates that which metal is more reactive and which metal is less reactive. So we can conclude by this reaction that now we can say, if you say iron and copper, which is more reactive, you say iron. Why? It can displaces copper from its solution. Exactly. So that is how we come to the conclusion that which metal is more reactive than which metal. And here the reactivity series comes into action. Already we learned the reactivity series in the first chapter when we are seeing the displacement reaction. That is just for the information, there itself I have taught you. But after this reaction or displacement reaction, then we got an 100% idea of how the reactivity of metals depends. So then a reactivity series comes into the task. So what is reactivity series or activity series simply? That is, it's a range of elements or metals according to the decreasing order of their reactivity. Okay, there we saw. Today I will once more write it, that series. Reactivity series or activity series is a series of metals which are written on the decreasing order of the reactivity. So what we are going to write in the upward, it is more active series. Okay, that is, first we have written potassium. You just go through the that displacement reaction, you will find it. Okay, so potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead. If you want, you can write, then it is, here it is hydrogen, then copper, then mercury, then silver and gold. There are so many metals will come in between this, but for your 10th standard, okay, this is enough. So this is what you call it as the reactivity series. You have already studied in the displacement reaction. Now you know how this came. This came from the reactivity of different elements by reacting with different chemicals, isn't it? Chemical reactions with water, we have seen with air, we have seen with acids, and this displacement reactions. Okay, so considering all this, we have put up a reactivity series in which the reactivity of metal decreasing order, which means this is more reactive. I can write this is more reactive and this is least reactive. You know, right? Gold and silver, it is least reactive, right? It is least reactive. Again, so many metals are there. If you want platinum, you can add gold, silver, platinum again. So just for this 10th standard, you study this much. And these are all moderate reactive metals. Okay, so this is about the reactivity series. Okay, this is called as activity series or reactivity series. Okay, so I can give you, or how you remember this reactivity series. There is a mnemonics for this reactivity series. You know what is mnemonics? Mnemonics means you make some words or some sentences using this first letter or whatever, whichever you apply or whichever you find it interesting. Okay, for me, I have a mnemonics for this activity series in order to remember easily. Okay, that is, it is like this. It is Posaka Ma Al Zil. Okay, Posaka Ma Al Zil. Okay, HC MSG. This is the mnemonics which I have learned in order to remember this. That is Posaka Ma Al Zil HC MSG. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver, gold. Now what I want to do you is, you make a mnemonics of your own. Let us see how you make the mnemonics of this reactivity series. So each one should make of your own mnemonics. You can have anything like potassium, K. You can have any word if you are remembering for that very well. So like this you can have mnemonics. Okay. So just prepare one mnemonics on your own. Correct? Okay. This is all about what? The reactivity series. Okay. Now, is it clear? Okay. Now we will see next and another important topic, that is how metals and non-metals react. Okay. What is it? How metals and non-metals react. Okay. Now, before going into that, we will see some of the features of metals and non-metals. Okay, now we want to see how these metals and non-metals react with each other. Now before that, why an element reacts, or why a metal reacts or a non-metal reacts, or if I say why this gold or silver is not reacting at all, you have seen it, right? Gold and silver does not react with any of these components like air, oxygen, water, etc. Okay, so why this is not reacting? That is, metals reacts or non-metals react, or the reactivity depends on the octet theory. Correct. What is it? Octet theory. What is octet theory? Recalling in the 9th standard, you studied about the valency, isn't it? You have studied the valency of some of the metals as well as the non-metals. Okay. As well as you have studied in the structure of atom. You have drawn the first 20 elements Bohr diagram or Bohr electron dot structure of these elements from hydrogen to, I think, calcium. That is 20. Atomic number 20. Correct? Okay. Now, what is octet theory? Octet theory means any element is stable. What is stable? Stable means it does not undergo any reaction. Okay. So, an element is stable only when its valence electrons, isn't it? Valence shell has got 8 electrons. Exception is hydrogen, that is 2 electrons. This we have studied in 9th standard. That means every element wanted an octet in this outermost shell. What is outermost shell? That is called as the valence shell. For example, if you take sodium, or if you say chlorine. Chlorine is what? Chlorine is having atomic number of 17. Okay. Now you know how to write the electronic configuration. In 9th standard you have studied. That is K shell 2, 8 and 7. See, in the outermost shell, K, L and M, in the outermost shell, which you call it as a valence shell, there is only 7 electrons. So is this stable? No. What it will do? It wants one more electron to gain the octet or gain the 8 electrons. Okay. Or this is a non-metal. Now coming to metal, for example, sodium. It is having 11 number. 2, 8, 1. See, the outermost electron has got 1 electron. Isn't it? Is this an octet? No. So it will always have a tendency to form octet. In valency, you studied either by gaining or by losing or by sharing. That is, we call it as a valency. Isn't it? What is valency? Valency is the capacity of an element either to gain an electron, or valency is by gaining an electron, or by sharing an electron, or by what? Or by gaining or sharing an electron. That is why it forms that octet. Correct? That is why all these metals and non-metals react. Now, if you take an example of neon. Neon is 10. Atomic number is 10. What is it? Electronic configuration. It is 2, 8. See? It is 2, 8. So, the valence shell is what? The valence shell is having an 8 electron. That means it is, the octet theory is valid there. So, this does not undergo any reaction. That is why it is called as a noble gas. For example, argon. Argon is 18. 2, 8, 8. See, the valence shell is 8. So, the octet theory is valid there. Okay? So, these elements are all called as the noble gas elements or noble elements, because there is no reaction. It is stable. It has got 8 electrons in its octet. That's it. But why all other metals and non-metals react? In order to attain the stability, they want 8 electrons in its valence shell. So, in order to make that valence shell an octet, all these metals and non-metals react. Correct? Okay. Now, what I want to do you from is, you write some metals and non-metals which you are given in the table. I think it is 3.3. Copy that table in your notebook. There you have given the element which is a metal or a non-metal or a noble gas metal, then the atomic number and also the electronic configuration. So just write or copy it from the textbook into your notebook. Correct? Okay, we have done it in the 9th standard, but still in order to have some exercise. Okay. Now we will pass on to how metals react with the non-metals. So before moving into that, you need some more information about a metal and a non-metal. We have studied some physical properties and chemical properties of metals. But you know, metals are generally, listen, electropositive in nature. Metals are electropositive in nature. Now, what do you mean by electropositive? Electropositive means normally the metals have a tendency to lose electrons. What is it? Metals have a tendency to lose electrons. So, losing electrons is called as electropositive in nature. Okay. Now, what happens when a metal loses its electron? For example, Na is a metal. Correct? Na will form, if it loses an electron, it will form Na plus and 1 electron. So, it is losing 1 electron, isn't it? So, 1 minus is going. So, what will happen to this element? It will have or it will acquire a plus charge. And this plus charge is called as cation. You have studied 8th standard, cation, anion, etc. So, metals normally forms cation. What is cation? By losing an electron. If for example, see magnesium will use 2 electrons. So, you will plus 2 plus, the valency that you studied. So, this positive is called as, ions are called as cations. You got it? So, metals are electropositive in nature. That is, it always have a tendency to what? Lose electrons. Clear? Now, what about non-metals? Non-metals are what? Electronegative in nature. Correct? Non-metals are electronegative in nature. Now, what do you mean by electronegative? That is gaining electrons. It always tends to gain electrons. Correct? So, that is, you call it as electronegative. So, gaining electron means what? See, this is gaining electrons. Correct? Gaining electron. So, for example, chlorine is a non-metal. So, chlorine will accept the electron to form what? Cl minus. Now, what is Cl minus? You call it as anion. See? So, this is the difference. So, before going into the reaction, you have to know what is the metallic character, that is electropositive in nature, whereas non-metals are electronegative in nature, which means electron gaining. So, losing of electrons, that is cation is formed, gaining of electrons, anion is formed. So, is it clear? Okay. Now, we will see the reaction between a metal and a non-metal. Normally, an ionic formation is formed. Ionic formation is formed between a metal and a non-metal. Okay. What do you mean by ionic formation? Ionic formation means ions are formed and then it will react. Isn't it? Ionic formation means first the metal will form into ions, whether it is a negative ion or a positive ion or a cation or an anion. Then these both will combine together to form the reactive product. Okay. Now we will see one such example, that is the formation of NaCl. First example is the formation of an ionic compound NaCl. What is NaCl? Sodium chloride. Okay. This board exam question, always the question will come either write a formation of magnesium chloride or calcium oxide or sodium chloride or anything. They can give any compound. Okay. So this formation of sodium chloride. Now first what you have to do is write, this is a metal and this is non-metal. So you have to know the atomic number, or in question paper normally it will give. Okay. So sodium, the atomic number is 11. Now the first point you should do is, you should write the electronic configuration of sodium. Okay. Now electronic configuration, what is electronic configuration? That is 2, 8 and 1. See, it is 2, 8, 1. Now, as already I told you, these metals forms cations or positive ions. That means they have an electropositive character. That means they always have a tendency to what? Lose electrons. So here what happens here? There is only one electron in its valence shell. So if it loses one electron, it can attain an octet or become stable. Correct? Isn't it? So what will the sodium do? It will lose one electron. So we can say Na. In two ways you can write. Na giving Na plus electron. You study one time. Either you can write this or you can write here minus. Na minus electron will give you Na plus. We will stick on to this. Okay. That is Na giving Na plus cation plus electron. So here it is 281 and here it is 28. See, it becomes stable. That is octet theory. According to octet theory, it has got 8 electron. Correct. Now, what about the Cl? Cl is 17. Correct. Electronic configuration is 2, 8, 10, 7, 17. See, what happens? Is the octet there? No. But it can form octet by gaining 1 electron. Correct. So, what happens to chlorine? Chlorine will gain 1 electron and form 2, 8, 8. Now, gaining 1 electron means what? It becomes an anion. Correct? It becomes Cl to Cl minus. Cl means the atomic number is 17, no? So, there is 17 protons and 17 electrons. Correct? So, by adding 1 electron means it will become what? It will become 18 electrons. So, you all know that. So, this chlorine accepts this 1 electron plus electron to form 2, 8, 8. That is Cl minus. See? Now, since this is a positive ion and since this is a negative ion, what will happen? These are ions, correct? The positive ions and negative ions attract each other with a strong force of attraction, which is called as the electrostatic force of attraction. Correct? So, this Na plus and Cl minus will form NaCl. So, this Na plus and Cl minus will form the ionic compound NaCl. So, this is how the formation of NaCl. Correct? Now, in board exam, the question will be asked, draw and explain the formation of ionic compound NaCl or MgCl2 or calcium oxide, whatever. Okay, so we have to draw it. Now you got this much, how to write the electronic configuration and the stable electronic configuration, making the positive and the negative ion. Okay. Now we will see how we can draw the formation of what? The ionic compound. You know sodium as well as chlorine. Na plus and Cl minus. So first you will talk about the electronic configuration 281 and 287. Now listen, you have to draw only the valence electrons. Very, very important. Don't draw all the Bohr model atom. No, you just draw only the valence electrons. Sodium, you just draw 1 electron. Chlorine, you just draw 7 electrons. Don't draw the Bohr model as K, L, M, L. No. It will make you confused. Okay. So listen carefully. I am drawing this sodium. You write it as Na. And you just have 1 electron. You just represent it by a star. Or you can represent it by a dot. These two symbols will do. Okay. Now Na is having 1 electron. Now see what about chlorine? Chlorine 7. Okay. So, either you can represent it as star or I will represent it as dot. Just to recognize it as chlorine and sodium. See? This is 1 electron, the valence. This is 7 electrons, the valence. Don't draw this 2, 8 and 2, 8 in this. You will get confused. So, please only draw the valence electrons. That's it. Okay. Then, now what happens? This is a plus ion. This is a minus ion. Correct? Now, this sodium is giving these electrons to chlorine. See? That means there is a transfer of electrons from sodium to chlorine. Thereby, what you will get, you have to draw like this. Na, this electron has gone. So what will happen? This is plus. Correct? And the Cl minus you have to draw like 2, 4, 6, 7, and this 8th electron is coming from the sodium. So you got a minus charge. So this is how the schematic representation of the diagram of the formation of NaCl. See? Simple. Only keep in mind you have to draw the valence electrons, that's all. Then sharing. Not sharing, it's a transfer of electron. Sharing is different. This is transfer of electrons. So this is how an ionic compound is formed. Clear? Okay. Now I will give you a homework. Okay. Just draw the formation of an ionic compound MgCl2. MgCl2. That means one magnesium. Remember, I will give you a hint. There is one magnesium and 2 chlorine. Just try it. If there is any doubt, just call me. Okay. So, read the textbook thoroughly and make notes of your own. Then please write the in-text questions in your notebook with answers. Okay. I will give you the exercise questions later once the chapter is finished. So, till then, keep studying. Thank you.